Hello and welcome to another episode of Biker Budgie. Nice to see you, I hope you're well. Right, today we are going to do a big clean up on the Tohatsu 15 and we're going to clean the sib, we're going to clean that up. We've been out on the sea, we need to clean it all up. Stay tuned and I'll show you how to do it. Okay, just to show you the tools and equipment and products that I want to use to clean this boat. I'll just put them on top of the bin quickly. So I'm going to run through. You're going to need WD-40. You don't need this, but this is just something that I like to use. You'll see that a bit later in the video. A little scrubbing brush from the dollar store or pound shop, wherever you're from. A drying cloth to dry it off with, because you don't want to be putting your stuff away wet, because it could get rotten and cause mould, and then a couple of just soft microfibers just to use with the WD-40 to do the engine and that. So that is all we're going to need for this video, guys. Right, so most importantly is the engine. As you can see, I've got my engine in here in a dustbin. If you look in there, I've got the hose pipe in there, just filling it up. Take the water up to just above the bottom leg there. You can see that, just above the bottom leg, to start flushing it through. So basically, after you've been in the salt water, all the salt gets up into the engine, because obviously the engine sucks up the water, and that's the cooling system for the engine to keep the engine cool. But if the salt water blocks any of the tubes or pipes or anything like that, then you're going to have issues with the engine. So when you get back from a trip and you've been on salt water, strongly recommend, actually I don't strongly recommend, it's a must that you must clean the engine out with fresh water after a trip out on the sea. So when we're going to start this engine out, first thing we need to do obviously is connect the fuel line, which attaches here, and it's just literally a little connector which just pushes on to there, look. So we just push that on, and down here we've got the primer bulb which has got an arrow on it there, so the fuel goes up to the engine. So you give this a little pump and you pump this until it sort of starts feeling a bit firm. There we go. Now it's pretty firm, you can feel it. It's like a balloon that's filling up with water. Filling up with air, and it gets harder. So now it's pretty pumped. So that means that the fuel is now in the engine. We need to check we've got the kill switch. The kill switch is on there. If that's not on, the engine won't run. Make sure it's not in gear, and then we can give it a little pull. Now we can give it a pull. There we go, she's running. There we go, she's running. As you can see, it's sucking up the fresh water from in the bin. It's pumping it, and hopefully it's clearing the system of all the salt in the engine. Normally what I do makes a bit of a mess if you rev it up, but as long as it's on tick over, it shouldn't make too much mess. Just pop it into first gear, into forward, and that just lets the propeller go round and just cleans away any muck, crap on the propeller. Now it's in reverse. Back to neutral. So what I'm going to do, I normally start it up, let it run for a few minutes, and then what I do simply is just disconnect the fuel line literally a couple of minutes after the engine's been started. And what that does, it just gives it enough time. There's enough fuel in that carburetor. Well, sorry, it's not carburetor, it's fuel injection. But I like to burn off the fuel that's in there so there's no stagnant fuel sat round in the fuel system. So I will just leave that now until that cuts out. Must say one thing about this engine, this Tohatsu engine, it is really quiet. I don't know how it's coming across on the camera, but it's a really quiet engine. Obviously it's a bit more noisy because I haven't got the cover on the top, but when we're in the boat and we're going along, say at half throttle, 3/4 throttle even, this boat, you can still have a conversation in the boat without the engine being overpoweringly noisy. And that is something I really like about this engine, because the engine I had before, it was so noisy. Just on tick over you couldn't even hear each other speak, and it was horrible. So yeah, I like that little bonus about this engine. It's nice and quiet. So I'm just waiting now for it to cut out, so all that fuel comes out. I've got to be honest, it's so efficient on fuel, this engine. It sometimes takes quite a while for it to die. I'll just give it a little rev to try and burn off some of this fuel in the fuel system. Well, she's starting to show signs that she might be cutting out now. There we go, finally. Finally, it's cut out. So that means that all the fuel has been used, what was in the fuel system, so I know that I'm not leaving any fuel inside that engine to go stagnant. Because sometimes boat engines are not used that regularly, and sometimes the fuel could be sat in there for quite some time. So that's just what I do, just to make sure that the fuel is nice and fresh the whole time. So there we go, that's that, guys. Now we're going to move on to the next bit. Okay, the first thing to do after getting it out of the bucket, and we've got it on the stand, hose pipe. Just literally rinse this down, guys. Get that hose in everywhere. It just washes off all the water, all the salt water. Salt water is the most horrible, corrosive stuff in the world. I'm sure it is. Most of you will probably know if you're into your boats. So just get that water and wash it off. That is all you need to do. No fancy detergents or chemicals, just plain old water. Just run that over, and that's all you need to do. That's it. That is it. So now basically all I'm going to do is just dry it over with a rag, just to get all the water off where it's been in the bucket. So just literally just wipe it down, guys. You really don't have to be, just to get the water particles off. So just giving it a wipe over, just so that it's dry. That's it. And then what I do is basically the lovely WD-40 and just spray it over everything, and that's it. Just spray it on everywhere, all the cover, the leg. Just spray this on everything, guys. It can't do any harm to any parts of this engine, only good. It will clean it, protect it, and keep everything nice. Okay, the next step is just something I do. You don't have to do this because the WD-40 is enough. But this is just a shine spray. It's basically like a spray and wax, and you just wipe it off with a soft cloth. So all I'm going to do is just spray the cover, the main cover. You really don't need a lot of this spray, guys. It goes a long way. Just so a light covering, and then just give it a wipe over with a soft cloth, and that just puts a tiny bit of like wax on the engine, on the paintwork, just to make it last, and hopefully just repel some of that salt water when you are out there. Just every little helps. So yeah, you just give it a wipe over and that's it. Right, the last thing I do with this engine, it's not anything that you'd have to do, but it's just something that I do. And guys, don't ask me where I got this from. I don't even know where you'd buy it. I'll show you it. It's this little rubber thing, and it's called a Kong. It's a dog's toy, and you're supposed to put like food in there for dogs and stuff, so the dogs can like play and eat the food out of it. It was my mum's dog's toy, and it fits perfectly right on the bottom of there. Take the other way. Fits perfectly on there. So when I lift the engine off, because obviously it's not always going to be on this stand, when I lift the engine off and I have to put that bottom leg down on the floor, because you have to put it down, you can't always not have it on the floor. Rather than scratch that bottom piece here, I put that on and it just adds a nice little rubber cushion. There we go. I'm sure if you look in some pet stores you'll probably find one. And that has stopped me scraping the bottom of that engine, and that is always on there. It stays on there the whole time. And that is a Kong, if you want to know what that is, but I don't know where to get them from. My mum gave me it. There we go, it's back in the garage. And I just chucked an old waterproof motorcycle cover over the top just to stop it getting dusty. And that is under there, safe and sound. Let's move on to the boat now. Okay, so as you can see, along this wall, I just line everything up. All the internal parts of the boat. And what I mean by that is like the aluminium floor, which is those 4 panels, the 2 oars, my launching wheels, and the 2 seats. And we are literally just going to get this, get the hose pipe, and we are just going to blast it. We're going to rinse this salt water off. That's all you have to do. You don't need any fancy chemicals or detergents for this. It's literally washing it off. Okay, once I've done that, just go along the line, turn them round. Okay, so we'll turn them round so we can do the undersides and the back sides. So we'll do the same again on the back. Just fresh water, guys, that's all you need. Nothing fancy here, nothing fancy. It's free, it doesn't cost anything. Just tap water. Right, so the only thing I use for this floor is a scrubbing brush. Cheap scrubbing brush, get them in the dollar store, pound shop, wherever you're from. I'm sure you've got one. And just turn these back round. And literally just, because there's lots of little grooves in there for obviously the grip when you're in the boat. So I just like to run this up and down just to clean those grooves out of any debris or seaweed sometimes and sand. Just give them a little scrub. Just so that your deck, when you put the floor back in the boat for the next time you use it, is nice and clean. So every time you go out, you got a nice clean boat. So we got a lot of sand on here. Look, just make sure you get all of this off, because it'll end up back in your boat eventually if you don't get it off now. And that's pretty much it, boys. And just give it another rinse, just to get all that debris off. Sometimes you get some debris that be stuck in the floor panel, and it can go into the bottom of the boat. It could actually cause a puncture.
Clean all your strap off, so that doesn't rot out.
And that is it, boys. And you just basically leave them to dry, or dry them off with a rag, and that's it. Put them away, ready for next time. Alright then, boys, moving on to the boat now. The Boat World 330 Pro this is. Cheap and cheerful, but it has seen us have a lot of fun. So first of all, we got to pump the boat up. There, look, the dog loves a pump. Shoot, get away! He's like a big bear, that dog. Right, I'll get back to you once I've pumped it up. Okay, it's fully inflated. Got the hose pipe. And we are literally, this is all we're doing, boys, just rinsing it off with water. Just to get that salt off. I'm going to change this setting from shower to, I think it's full. There, full. Just get round underneath. Just under where I'm spraying, if there's any stones or anything stuck in there, just make sure you get those out, because that could cause punctures and things. Right, so you just literally rinse it with water like that, and then you're going to get a rag. If there's any little marks like this, just rub them and they'll come straight off. So you just go around the whole boat like that, just rubbing off all any like dried on seaweed or anything like that. I'm going to do that on the top of the boat, inside the boat and under the boat. So just tip the boat up on its end, and now we're just going to rinse off the bottom. So what I like to do is just tip the boat up on its end, and then everything can just run out the bottom. Right, so just lay the boat back down with your soft cloth, just give it a wipe over, and look at that, boys, she comes up sweet. And that's it, you just dry it all off. Let it air dry for about, I don't know, half an hour in the sun, 20 minutes, half hour in the sun, and then roll her up and pack her away. Right, so I've just stood it back up. I'm going to wait for the floor to dry, and then I can pack it back in the bag. Okay, the floor is dry now, so what I've done, I've got the bag that all goes in. I've put the bag down on the floor. I'm just going to lower the boat down. Lift the boat down with me, Dad. Just excuse me a minute while I lift this down. Put it down. The dog's going to get stuck. There we go. Right, sorry about that. There, now the boat is down on top of the bag, all nice and clean and dry. So now all we need to do is let the air out, fold her up and pack her away. Right, get the air out.
Get up! Jake! Get up!
Dog didn't like that. He didn't like it. There, we'll let the air come out. Right, so to get it back in the bag, I just literally get the end cones on the back and push those in. Just literally push them in. And then the side of the boat, put my foot under there, fold that in. All the valves are open, so as I start folding it up, the air should come out. And just grab this, tuck these in, and you roll her up. Grab the handle at the front, lift it up, put it in the bag, fold the bag over. Oh, I need to do the other side first. That one. That one. Do the straps up. Then we fold the sides up like that. Boat weld, there we go, it's all back in the bag. And just underneath here, the one carry strap. And this side, one carry strap. You could probably lift that on your own, just with the boat in it. You can actually fit the floor, the oars and everything inside there as well, but it makes the bag very heavy to pick up, so I don't put it in there. So that's it. There you go guys, that's it. So that is how to clean your boat and pack it away safely, and now that is ready to go for next time. Please, I'm coming up to 500 subscribers now. Nearly, I'm nearly there. We need to push on just to get a few more subscribers. So if you want to click that subscribe button, and I'll be very grateful, thank you. So yeah, that's it, and I'll see you next time you come along for the ride with Biker Budgie. Take care, bye bye.